Hi everyone, I'm Ruchi. I'm a second year MBA student at Stanford GSV. Some of you might be wondering, I don't look Middle Eastern, I don't sound Middle Eastern, so what am I actually doing here? So let me tell you one thing. Middle East is such an important part of me, so much so that I'm currently the president and CFO of Stanford GSB MENA Club. So how did I get here? Today I'll share my life experiences as an expat in the Middle East and how they have shaped me all through my life. So people are surprised when I say that I was born and brought up in Libya. They immediately ask, how was it like growing up in Libya? Well, to tell you the truth, it was amazing. If I had to relive the last 10 years of my life again, there wouldn't be a single thing that I would change. That's how we used to spend the Friday afternoons with my dad and my brother. And our weekends used to be spent on the farmhouses, beaches, or drinking camel milk with the local Libyans. In 1991, my dad decided to leave medicine and pursue entrepreneurship. And he moved to Dubai. So my mom was left alone with us kids in Libya, and she stayed there for 4 years. You might imagine it must be very difficult for a single female to live with her kids in a place like Libya. But it wasn't. The kind of relationships that my mom and dad had built with their patients, my mom and dad were both doctors, were so honest that all the patients were now looking after us and taking care of us. So here I am without my dad, but my weekends are still being spent on the farmhouse, beaches, or drinking camel milk with the Libyans. In 1994, my mom decided to move to Dubai. The business was not doing very well, but we decided to move to Dubai because the schools were completed in Libya. And at that time, I realized life wasn't the same anymore. We couldn't live a luxurious life anymore because Dubai was a very, very expensive place. And my dad was a struggling entrepreneur at that time. And at that time, Uncle Nasir, my dad's very close friend, had come to visit us and he stayed with us. Uncle Nasir was one of the richest men of Iraq, but after the Iraq war, he had lost everything except his life. And my dad actually decided to help him out in times of trouble, and he lent him some money. My dad always used to say that the true character of a person comes out when he's in trouble. And now Uncle Nasir is doing very well, and they are still best friends. But this entire experience of Dubai left a very deep impression on my heart. I thought that when my parents were doctors, life was very easy, and now that my dad was an entrepreneur, life was difficult. I couldn't answer questions about what my dad is actually doing, because I considered doctor to be a very noble profession, while entrepreneurship was not so very well known in the Middle East. So I decided to go to medical school. In 2008, I was graduating from medical school. I had developed some medical devices, and I wanted to commercialize them. But since I was a doctor, I didn't understand the language of business. I thought that it would be better to get some experience in our family business in Dubai. So in mid-2008, I moved to Dubai and started my own division of value-added steel in our family business. By late 2008, economic crisis hit Dubai. And at that time, I was struck with a decision that actually shaped my life. There was a Chinese supplier who had shipped some steel to us. The amount of the shipment was in millions of dollars, and the shipment was delayed by 20 days. By the time the shipment arrived at our port, the steel prices had fallen by 50%. Legally, we were not required to actually accept the shipment. We could have easily passed. But rejecting that shipment would have meant ruining my relationship with the supplier and not being true to myself. So there was a board meeting, and our CFO was saying that we don't have enough cash, we should just reject the shipment because anyways, all the legal things are in our favor. And at that time, I stood up and I said, this is not what I do. And I immediately called the Chinese supplier after that, Mr. Ching, that we'll be accepting your shipment. Just make sure that from now on you ship the goods on time. So this decision was took like within seconds, but it felt correct to me. And after that, the relationship with Ching developed so well that till now he's our preferred supplier. And over the last 3 years, I hired a lot of staff. I went out to get vendor approvals from various oil field clients in Abu Dhabi and Dubai to actually start my division. And now the division is doing so well, it's earning around $20 million in revenue per year. And I thought that it would be better to actually get some formal training in business. So I decided to come to Stanford GSB. My division still has presence across GCC, Africa, and Asia, and I've hired a good manager to take care of it. So when I came to Stanford, since I was always passionate about entrepreneurship, I had so many options here. There were tech startups in the valley that were ready to have me. But there was this inner call that came, and I said, I should definitely do something for the Middle East. The MENA region has done so much for me and my dad that it's time to pay back. And I decided that I should start a crowdfunding portal for MENA region. So I've started Pick a Venture. It's a crowdfunding portal and incubator model for the Middle East. Currently, we have 12 startups, and we are mentoring those 12 startups. With the help of Pick a Venture, I'm hoping that the normal crowd would interact with the budding entrepreneurs, and this would help foster and empower entrepreneurship and creativity. I've experienced the MENA culture myself, and I know in the MENA region, trust and words matter much, much more than paper money. And I know people are willing to do so much for each other. So I have faith that this platform will work. In the end, I would like to say, whenever you're faced with easy solutions, just think back and try to take the most honest one. Because tough times never last, but tough people do. Thank you.